Well, the numbers are absolutely staggering, and we'll talk about the unemployment situation in just a moment or two. But the first thing we want to do is get back to this education piece that we were talking about a few moments ago. There remains a debate as to whether schools should remain closed in order to stop the spread of the coronavirus. That is a debate that you can have, but as of right now, the education process has stalled. Students not being in class, distance learning. Many educators fear a coronavirus learning curve is taking place. But joining us now with some hopeful news and hopeful hints, we hope, is education president or expert and president and CEO of the Ushers New Look Foundation. She is Careshia Moore, joining us now from Atlanta. Good evening, and thank you so much for taking time to join us this evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Fred, for having me.
Well, I mean, we hear about all of the problems and the issues and all of those kinds of things, but what can parents do? It looks like the rest of the school year for most of the country is a lost cause. What can parents do to help their children and for us to help our young people, those graduating, say, from high school, to just have a better experience with this whole thing?
Absolutely. So first of all, it really does require a village. So you're talking about family members rooting on and still finding a way to celebrate those seniors who are graduating because they've envisioned this moment since the beginning of their educational career. That's one thing. But also seeking out those virtual experiences for their young people. There are lots of organizations, just like Ushers New Look, that will be hosting summer virtual programming. School districts are partnering with other organizations, and a lot of these programs are free for young people. So it keeps them growing and developing despite the educational disruption that has taken place.
And how are we doing with this, Careshia, as far as it's only been, 7 weeks, but how have we developed and how are we doing with this as parents and as teachers who are working with young people remotely and trying to keep the juices flowing, if you will?
Right. It has been a collaborative effort, is what we've seen. Teachers have jumped in, students have jumped in. I mean, they turned on a dime and made their curriculum virtual, just as other organizations have, and still supporting youth. It has not been easy by any stretch. If you think about it, young people go to school and they're a part of a community. So to have that stripped away in some school districts' cases in the matter of over a weekend, they were at school on Friday and they weren't on Monday. And so we are doing well despite the disruption. This week was Teacher Appreciation Week, and we want to give a kudos to all of those teachers who are hunkering down and not just teaching their students, but also having their young people at home with them. And so parents are doing double duty, working from home and helping their young people. So I think people are getting through best they can. We have students who may not be logging on because maybe that motivation and that drive to get logged on to class, it's just not there, where they were going to school for a favorite teacher or for a favorite class. So it's really important that we continue to keep them motivated and share words of encouragement and really just show them that they're a lot more resilient than they think they are.
Yeah, and one thing about it, COVID-19, as we all know, statistics bear it out, has been doubly hard on the Black community. So a lot of these young people may not have computers, for example, or access to the internet. What can be done to help them along the way?
Right. So we're talking 8.5 million to 12 million households that don't have access to high-speed internet, which is really what's required in order to be on all day, access videos and different assignments. And so what I've seen happen is that the private sector is coming in, dumping millions of dollars in so that some school districts are able to purchase Chromebooks and purchase laptops. Where we still have a need is making sure that everybody has access to internet and Wi-Fi. You hear some people saying that students can go and drive up to a parking lot where buses are making their Wi-Fi accessible, or driving to a library. Well, that's just not feasible for every student. If a parent is working, how do they get there and access it? So I do think that there is room, particularly with getting funding and really extending the E-rate, for example, so that every student is given a hotspot or broadband is made accessible to every household.
All right, Careshia, thank you so much for taking out the time to join us. Careshia Moore joining us from Atlanta, Georgia. We certainly got a lot of good information from you, and we hope you'll come back and join us again.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
All right, have a good night and be safe.